Geico presents Our Town, Season 2, a 30-minute podcast produced by Best Bart Communications, a small but fierce client-centered marketing company powered by decades of experience and well-established business networks. Geico, 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance. Now, here's your host, Andy Ockershausen.
This is Andy Ockershausen, and this is Our Town, and our special guest is Mark Ein. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Mark, and as I tell everybody, Mark, Our Town includes Annapolis, it's PG County, it's Montgomery. It's as far as our signal goes, as you probably know, we have a great signal because once we get up there, it goes all over the world. This is a podcast. And Mark was an investor and an entrepreneur. He's built companies over the course of his 22-year young career. But that's another interview. Today we're here to talk about the man, our neighbor, our friend, the kind of guy who steps up to the plate and bids on lunch with me. Why, I don't know. That's an auction prize. A sports enthusiast who has done some pretty creative thinking in the sports arena with Kastles Tennis and the World Team Tennis. He's a philanthropist. He puts his money up, his energy to educate children in the D.C. area. And Mark Ein, welcome to Our Town.
Thanks. That was a really generous introduction, and I can't tell you how happy I am to be here with you, Andy. Well, that auction item, I think, was the single best item I've ever bought at a charity auction. I had so much fun. Every year I wait for that to come up again so I can get it again.
We're waiting for Schuster. Yeah, we'll come up with something for you. That's a real thing that Erica started for his school and his mother. It was a teacher in a special ed out there. But we love that. We love to be involved. One of the secrets of your success, Mark, and we preach this to everybody, you get involved in the community. You're not just in it for the rewards. You're in it to give, and it pays off for you.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, I feel really lucky with the life I've been able to have. I grew up in this area. I grew up in Chevy Chase.
You're Our Town.
Yeah, it has been. And the opportunity I had to move back here 25 years ago after being in New York and L.A. and Philly and Boston, all over the place, and coming back, and the opportunities I've had is I feel so fortunate. And one of the great things about this community, you talked about Eric Schuster, you yourself, but so many people, part of the culture of this community, I think, is giving back. That's something that really is embedded in the people who make this town move. And to me, it's one of the many things that makes this such a wonderful community to be part of.
It's amazing the people that in your life and you've grown up with that almost universally they're givers. And they get back, Mark. The more you give, you get back much more than you ever give.
You know, that is a nice byproduct of it. I think that is the way the world works, and it's great that it does. I think when you do it, you have to do it not because you never expect anything to come back. You do it out of genuine care for what you're doing. And frankly, the act of giving is the most rewarding part of it. You don't need anything back. What you get back is that feeling of helping other people, helping organizations that are making a difference, doing something more than just for yourself. So I've been blessed, as we all have, and I'm just happy to be in Our Town.
Well, you know, you made such an impact coming back into Our Town and getting involved, but you know, you give so much through your investment companies and through your participation in charities and the thing you're doing in the educational field, Mark. It's just so unbelievable. And the people you work with have been great too. I know how you worked a lot with Joe Robert and all the things he did, and he and Kimsey started one of those proto-fins, did they not?
Yeah, so, you know, there's a whole wonderful set of mentors who were sort of the generation ahead of me, the Joe Roberts, the Mario Marinos, the Donald Dells in tennis, right? The John Harrises in tennis. And there's more of the people than I can even, name, but there's a whole generation of people who sort of set the culture and the framework of this community. And I've had a wonderful cohort of people who are my era, the Raul Fernandezes of the world. And, the Russ Ramseys and Mark Warners. And there's so many great people of our generation. And so, it's been great to have those people to follow in their footsteps, to continue to follow their example and hopefully inspire the next generation. I mean, the exciting thing is hopefully this just continues to build and grow.
I can see that. That's why I'm so pleased that Eric Schuster's gotten involved in the charity aspect. He's finally found out that it's so important to give, and he's getting back in so many ways. But the people you mentioned is such a part. When you mentioned Raul, who I've known through Joe and through you, Raul happens to be chairman of the board of our special charity, Don Bosco Cristo Rey School.
Wow. Yeah.
Raul is a great contributor in so many
Yes.
ways. So is his wife. She's on the board, is she not?
Yeah.
My Janice is on the board.
Yeah.
But Mark, one of the things you have done is the Kastles. Now, you made Kastles a household word.
You know,
And it wasn't easy.
No, it's funny because, the year before I started the World Team Tennis team, and this is going to be our 10th season. So we've had 9 seasons. It feels like yesterday that I was hitting a tennis ball into an empty parking lot where City Center was. I mean, it's unbelievable. Billie Jean King and Adrian Fenty, who, while he was a great athlete, actually, it turns out, had really bad hand-eye coordination. But it feels like yesterday that we were there. And the year before, I had bought another amazing watch institution, the company Kastles Systems, who had another great guy who founded it, Gene Sandberg, who's a wonderful friend.
He was not a relative, correct?
He was not a relative. So Gene Sandberg, and he had no relation. And I met him and we hit it off, and this was his life's work. It's a security company. We secure like 60% of the buildings in DC, but we're all over the country. And we hit it off, and he felt like he could trust me to take his life's work and be a good caretaker and take it to the next generation. And so I'd started that, and then I'd met Billie Jean King at the U.S. Open, and I just popped in my head, why haven't we ever had a World Team Tennis team in Washington? And she said, it's a market I've always wanted to be in. The league was 35 years old at the time. She said, it's an incredible tennis community. It's exactly a place where I'd love to have a presence. I've just never found the right person to do it with. And so let's spend some time together. And we spent time, and it turned out that, it was something she wanted me to do and I wanted to do. And so I decided to do it. And then I thought, well, what am I going to name the team? And actually a really creative marketing guy said, well, why don't you name it after your company? And it's actually interesting. If you look at the history of sports, teams used to be named for its owners. So the Green Bay Packers,
absolutely,
wasn't it right?
No, it quite
the
well.
Pittsburgh Steelers. So there's a long history of doing that. And we thought we could have some fun with the Kastles, with having a knight and a shield and like protecting our house like we protect. And so the team's been, it's been a huge, and who knew that within a short period of time, the team would be more well known than the company actually.
But that's good.
Right. It's
that's
exactly
good.
what
Good
we
for
want.
You, Mark
yeah.
Hine.
Yeah.
We're talking to Mark Hine about his investment, but he has invested his time and his money in the educational area of this area. And Mark, I want you to talk about that a little bit, because that's where you'll get back so much rewards for that.
Yeah, so I'm involved in a bunch of things. I'm on the board of DC CAP, where Ted Leonsis is a chair that Don Graham founded, an incredible organization that
Did Tony Kornheiser and those guys do a golf tournament?
Oh, right, yeah, and it's an incredible. We provide scholarships for kids in DC schools and counseling service for kids in schools. And then when education reform in D.C. became big, and this was Adrian, it was Tony Williams' priority, and then Adrian carried the mantle, and he brought Michelle Rhee in, that she decided we need an external arm to raise philanthropic money, to raise private philanthropy dollars that we could use in D.C. schools. Historically, big national private philanthropies weren't comfortable giving money directly to the school system. They didn't know it'd be used well. They didn't know it'd be
and we know that story.
All that stuff. So she said, I'm going to set up a separate entity that's going to go raise the money and fund projects related to reform that we can't afford ourselves, but that national funders will want to support. And we'll use DC as a test bed for all this innovative stuff in education. So we formed it. I've been chairman of that now for, I think it's 7 or 8 years. We've raised over $100 million in 8 years and the coolest thing about this organization, and it's somewhat well known, we have a big event at the Kennedy Center, actually March 13th, called Standing Ovation, where we do a Kennedy Center honors for DC, for school teachers. So the entire orchestra are the 1,500 best performing teachers, and then the 10 best get a Rubenstein scholarship that David Rubenstein, who's an old boss, who's the guy who hired me to come back to D.C., gives
David
to the 10.
Did? Well, how about that?
Yeah. So
world,
there's there's a whole nother story.
Is David a tennis player?
He's actually really good.
You used to be very good.
I still am really good. David used to be really good. So that's the difference. So
come on,
it's both those statements are true. So anyways, the DC Public Education Fund's an amazing. But the greatest thing about the $100 million that we've raised is the vast majority of it comes from philanthropies, families, and endowments outside DC. So this is new money coming into our school system, and it has funded a lot of the reforms that have made DC public schools the fastest improving urban school district in America.
Really on a fast track to get better. I know that.
And so I love that work.
I like the guy. I haven't met him, but I've heard him.
Yeah.
We do things, in the old WMAL days, you were too young when the days of wine and roses, when we dominated the media market and Channel 7 and WMAL radio.
Ken Beatrice.
How about
Of course,
that?
you kidding me? Every day coming home from every game after RFK, I listen to Ken Beatrice.
So many people remember that
Yeah.
because of his voice and his control and what he did. And everybody we talk to will mention Ken Beatrice, particularly in the sports world. And they would all say, well, he didn't really have any agents. I said, who cares?
You're
He's
next.
an entertainer.
You're next.
You're next.
He was great.
Which I said about Kastles
Yeah.
when I first saw World Team Tennis. It used to be on late night TV.
Yeah.
It wasn't even good enough to be in prime time.
Yeah.
With the speckled court and so forth. I'd watched that 20 years ago,
Yeah.
15 years ago.
Yeah.
When you were bringing it to town, I couldn't imagine it until I saw it live. It was entertainment
Yeah.
and happened to be on a tennis court.
Yeah.
And it was so entertaining, win or lose.
Yeah.
When you first started, you weren't winning. It
Yeah.
took a while to build up. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
It is. It was funny. When I started this, I really did this. We talked about giving back to the community. I did this as a platform to give back to this community. That was my goal. Our 4 founding mission statements were bring the city of Washington together, promote a center of fun activities, promote the sport of tennis and physical fitness, and support local charitable partners. That was,
And you did it downtown.
Yeah,
when
we
you
did it
started.
right downtown. So those were our 4 things. So I got out there in our first year. We didn't win very much, and it was funny. This sounds obvious, but until you feel it as an owner, you don't appreciate it. After the matches, when we would lose, there'd be all this energy. We always got good crowds. We always packed it from the beginning. But when we lose, there'd be no energy in the place. The place would be dead. And then the couple times we won, the place would be buzzing and people would want to go out. And I said, you know what, winning's better than losing. So I figured that out. And
You figured that out.
yeah,
huh?
so I know. So we did figure it out, and we've had a lot of success, and it's been great to not just bring the World Team Tennis to DC, but also a winner.
Well, Mark, you are the winner, and you've transformed the city in so many ways. We're going to take a break now. We're talking to Mark Hine. This is Our Town, and the impression that your tennis event has made on our town is enormous. And I'll tell you why.
Okay, keep your eyes closed.
Okay.
I want to show you my first ever painting.
All right.
Okay. Open your eyes.
Oh, that's a lot of colors and shapes.
So be honest. What do you think?
Well, I like how if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds of dollars on car insurance.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Here, why don't I hold your paintbrush while you call them?
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
You're listening to Our Town.
This is Andy Ockershout, and this is Our Town. We're talking to Mark Hine, an investor, an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and a wonderful guy, and who's doing a great job in so many ways. What he's done with the tennis is incredible, but you're bigger than that. And, talking to you and mentioning some of these names of people that have made such an impact on our town, like Manuel Fernandez,
Yeah.
who you didn't know until just I told you. He's chairman of the board of our charity,
Yeah.
which is Don Brasco Cristo Rey Schools. But everybody's involved. All the people you name, I know them. They're all involved in different. Russ Ramsey went to school with Janice's brother. He lived in Suitland.
He did.
And, we've known that guy since he
Yeah.
went to George Washington.
Yeah.
So, the names that you keep bringing up are just so great.
Yeah. Well, that's, again, one of the great things about our town and our community is that people grow up here and now they're coming back. DC used to be known as a transient community and people would come and go with administrations, but there is this whole other part of Washington that's the real Washington. That's our town, as you guys have said, that is all these people, these families, these individuals, these companies, these institutions now that, who's ever in the White House, ever in Congress, this is stronger than that. And it's become one of the great cities in the world, independent from what it's known for, which is the seat of the federal government, is one of the great places to live, work, and be part of a community.
Well, Mark, you proved that by coming back. Not only proved that, you bought a house in the middle of town, too. Now, that's a great story in itself. But, Donald Graham talked to me about growing up in that house and going to school from there. But we travel. We have Janice has her office in Georgetown, so we go by it every day just about. And it's not a bad place.
No, well, it was a great honor to have the opportunity to do that. We talked a little bit about like Castle systems. I mean, to be able to come back in this town, and whether it's companies or house or organizations,
right?
You don't really feel like you're the owner. You feel like you're the caretaker. These things were around a long time before, I got on the earth, and I hope they're all going to be around a long time afterwards. And so for a moment in time, you're a caretaker for these things, and you hope you just make them a little bit better than they were before, and that you pass them on to someone else.
The people you name are living proof of that.
Yeah.
Now, I heard those same words many, many years, over 50 years ago, from Jack Kent Cooke, who would say, I don't own the Redskins. I'm here as a caretaker for the citizens of Washington.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether he believed it or not, but he was not trying to gouge the team. He had his own businesses and made a lot of money.
Yeah.
He didn't buy that team for money. He bought it because he believed in it.
No, 100%. And I will say again, my sports ownership, I've come to appreciate that exact same emotion. You really quickly realize that the most rewarding part of owning a team is nothing that happens on the court. People say, what's your greatest memory? And, we've won 6 championships, 5 in a row, the longest winning streak in pro sports
34
history.
straight.
34 straight, the longest streak in the history of pro sports, the first lady coming out 5 times, all that stuff. But my best memory, for sure, is looking around the crowd and seeing so many people in my community having a great time. Parents and their kids, groups of friends, groups of kids. And I think, that would have been me. If this team existed when I was a kid, I would have been that kid.
Right.
I would have wanted to be there. And these kids will have these memories for their whole lives. The families will have these memories for their whole lives. And it is looking around the crowd and just seeing the opportunity to bring your community together. And you realize that's the most important part of being an owner of a team like that.
Were you involved in the tennis when it was just in a formative years? WMAL and the Evening Star sponsored the tournament called the Star. And WMAL gave them the money because the Star was losing money. And so we had to provide it. The first tournament, I think you'll find it was in 1969.
Yeah.
When Donald started the tournament, he came to us and we worked with him on it. But were you ever a ball boy?
I was a ball kid at that tournament. That was the highlight of my summer. It was one of the highlights of my youth. Every summer, I would be a ball kid at that tournament, probably in the mid-'70s.
And they played on
clay courts, and
I
would be the guy at net, and then you get bigger, you're the guy behind. And then when I was too old to be a ball kid, I did transportation. I drove the players around. But for sure, I wouldn't be as involved in tennis or do what I did today if I hadn't had that experience. It's, that
atmosphere was incredible for a young person.
Great. It was incredible. My brother did it, and I did it. All of our friends did it. And the chance to be that close to professional players and be part, was, and when you're an 11-year-old kid and you're on stadium court and you feel like they're all watching you as a ball kid. Of course they're not, but, and then, of course, we all had that one incident. My brother had it, and then I had it, where on stadium court, you pick up a ball, and you lose your balance and you fall exactly on the clay, and everyone starts laughing at you, and so you learn humility doing that too. But
clay was so much fun, though.
It was. The
rallies would take forever.
No, the rallies were great, and the players were great. Jimmy Connors and Harold Solomon from Silver Spring, and Eddie Dibbs, and Fred McNair, who grew up in Chevy Chase, who's a friend now. All those great players.
He was a great doubles player, wasn't he?
Number one in the world.
Yeah.
And then just to bring the small world story even further, in the winter there used to be both a men's and women's tournament at the Smith Center, where now the Castles play.
Right.
So back
You've come home.
when I was in 9th grade, well, for a number of years, but in junior high school and high school, there was a indoor tournament there that everyone played. I remember I spent a lot of time with Arthur Ashe was there, Martina Navratilova.
The Slims there one year.
Virginia Slims, right. And I was a ball kid, and I later had to tell my parents the reason that my 9th grade academic record was so bad is because I didn't tell them that I told them I was going to school, but I took a different bus and went down and I ball kidded all day.
To the Smith Center.
To the Smith Center. And all the people running the ball kids were wondering how I could miss school. I didn't tell them I wasn't supposed to be missing school, but it all worked out okay in the end. But I had great memories of that.
You're a tennis bum, and I love it.
It was fun.
This is Our Town. I'm talking to Mark Hine at Andy Ockershausen. And after this break, I want to talk about the Castles and what you've accomplished and how much it means. This is Our Town.
Maybe your kids are about to graduate from college or even get their graduate degree. Or you're looking forward to retirement, finally. Don't go another day without getting your legal house in order. This is attorney Mike Collins. Let me show you how to get a basic estate plan in place that will protect you and your loved ones in the years ahead with our trademarked Reservoir Trust. All I ask is 2 hours of your time. Check the mail for your special invitation and register now at MikeCollins.com. I'll even waive the tuition. That's MikeCollins.com.
Hi, Tony Sybil here to tell everybody about our newest restaurant over off New York Avenue. It's called Ivy City Smokehouse, 1356 Oakey Street Northeast, right next to the Heck Company warehouse. It is terrific, and we have the only seafood smoker in the District of Columbia. So when you go to your grocery stores or your delis, ask for Ivy City products. 202-529-3300 or ivycitysmokehouse.com.
You're listening to Our Town with Andy Ockershausen. Brought to you by Best Bark Communications.
This is Our Town. Andy Ockershausen with Mark Ein, who has established a unbelievable record as an owner of a pro franchise that I want to talk about, Mark, because what you've scored, I don't think it'll ever be produced again, what you have done in a short period of time with the Washington Castles.
Thank you so much. I've had a lot of great help, the fans and the community. As we said earlier, this is a great tennis town. They've come behind us. People who weren't tennis people come because they just love to be there. My team in the office, the people who have helped, really who run the team, have done an amazing job. So it's been an amazing team effort.
And it seems to me the sponsors have all come back. They've all loved it.
Yeah.
I know the Geico story I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
The whole thing, Mark.
Yeah.
Now, your record is you've won 6 straight world titles?
So we won 5 straight until we didn't win last year. We won 5 straight until last year.
Who
We
won
won
it last
6
year?
overall, San Diego. We just missed. It was a rough year. We had some last-minute injuries. We had 2 really difficult injuries.
But
and we
basically,
just
one of
missed.
your secrets is you've held the nucleus of that team
Exactly.
together.
Exactly. We've had, and it's funny because people think of tennis as an individual sport, which it obviously on the court is. But in a team format like World Team Tennis, team chemistry is as important as it is in basketball or football or anything else. And so, yeah, the nucleus of the team's been the same. Our coach, Murphy Jensen, has been there for 8 of the 9 years. I mean, the first year we were not, saying we weren't successful would be an understatement. We weren't great, but we really quickly started building a foundation. And for me, having continuity, having a great culture, and having, obviously great players, but many years we did not have the best individual players. Other teams did.
That is correct.
But the culture of the team was every time there was a critical match or a critical point in a critical match, we literally for many years won every single one. So
I was amazed at that.
Yeah.
And winning, not only won in Washington, he won on the road too.
yeah, everywhere.
Was
So-
McEnroe a permanent member at any
he played
time?
against us. So
that's where I saw
he
him
played
against
against us a few times, and it actually we were really close to having a fist fight on the tennis court, and it was actually made ESPN top play. It was the top play of the week. I think it's honestly the only time tennis has been top play of the week in ESPN in the last decade. When it was John McEnroe and Leander Paes standing nose to nose on our court about to get into a fight. But John's great. He's a great talent. And he obviously, no matter what he's doing, he cares a lot, and he has that fiery
Fighter.
personality. Yeah. So
Now, but again, your nucleus, the young, the Indian boy.
yeah, so Leander Paes, who joined us
Paes.
our second year, is amazing.
Yes. He's
One of
been
the greatest,
consistently a great player.
One of the greatest double players of all times. He's won the Grand Slam in men's doubles and mixed doubles.
Correct.
Martina Hingis played against us, and I was dying to have her on our team, and we had the opportunity to do that 5 years ago. And she's been
consistent.
I mean, incredible. And just as a side note, her and Leander went off and paired on our way to the championship in 2014. I said, why don't you guys play mixed doubles on tour? And on the plane, I wouldn't let them get off the plane until they agreed to do it. And so they started in 2015 at the Australian Open and won 4 of the next 6 mixed doubles Grand Slams. They won the mixed doubles Grand Slam as a team.
Incredible.
Every time they won it, whether it's Australia or the Open, they thanked the Castles because it was where it all started. So that was special. Obviously, Venus and Serena. Serena played our first match, and Venus has been a
I went to one of the luncheons with Venus downtown in the city of K Street. I forget who it was, but she was delightful. I think she was
great.
doing some clothing things.
Well, she does that, but she made the finals. She lost to Serena in the finals.
Is that
of the Australian.
incredible at
Yeah,
her
it's
age?
incredible. So she's great. She's coming back this year. She loves being part of this team. She in 2012, when we completed our second perfect season, there had never been a perfect season in 35 years in the league. And we did it once, and we did it again in 2012. And she played the last match. It came down to her set. We were tied going in. It was 4-all. It was a tiebreaker to win the championship, a second perfect season. First to 5, she's playing Coco Vandeweghe, Kiki's niece, who she beat. And she just beat in the semis of Australian Open. And it was first to 5. Venus served the first 2 points. Coco won them. Venus was down 2-0. She ended up winning 5 straight points. She won the set, the game, the set, the match, the championship, the perfect season. And she said, I called my mom and I said, Mom, that was one of the greatest experiences of my career. She said, because I wasn't just doing it for myself. I was doing it for a team. I was doing it for a city. I was doing it for the name on the front of the jersey, not the back. And she will literally cite that as one of the highlights of her career. So for Venus Williams to say that, I think is a great summation of, what this can mean to people.
I love the fact you have so much enthusiasm for the people on the bench.
Yeah.
They are in the game so deeply.
Totally.
It's so much a part of it. You feel it up in the stand.
Yeah.
I think it's the only sport you can really cheer like that anymore.
Well,
in golf, if you cough, they go nuts.
Well, I think you'll see more and more of this in tennis, but it's been a wonderful experience.
Mark, well, and this year, what are your dates?
So it's July 16th to August 2nd. We've got the Bryan brothers. We've got Venus.
Wow.
We've got Leander. We have Martina Hingis coming back. The rest of the team will be announced on March 14th. We have Sloane Stephens playing against us, Eugenie Bouchard. It's going to be star-studded. It's our 10th anniversary. It's going to be our best year yet. People come year in, year out. As you said, the stands are always packed. What's amazing is there's still some people who haven't been, so which I love. That just means that there's more people for us to get.
It's a big market.
It's going to be the best season we've ever had. So hopefully July 16th, August 2nd, people will come out and cheer us on.
I know that it's so important to you, Mark, but I recall the feeling sitting down on a waterfront, gazing at the beautiful sky, the beautiful night, having dinner right there.
Yeah.
I mean, those events can't happen again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a shame they got rid of your venue.
Well, but the Smith Center's been fantastic.
Oh, got great tennis.
Our fans love it. The weather's always perfect there.
Right.
I mean, we all fantasize about the perfect Washington summer night. It just doesn't happen very much.
No.
So inside, it's always perfect. And, we customize it for tennis. You're on top of the action. People come. You can't believe how close you are to some of the best players in the world. So
you feel it.
Yeah.
But you used to do it at the park when Donald ran that tournament. You were up there squeeging the water off of the courts when they had the rainstorms.
Of course. I'm not. Of course. I mean, I'll do anything. I'll clean the bathrooms if I need to. So whatever it takes to make our fans have a great time.
Well, we appreciate it so much, Mark, and whatever we can do to help you. WMAL's here for you. We're here for you. But what you have done is unbelievable in pro sports, and nobody ever matched it. And I doubt if they ever will, because there'll be no more world team tennis like you established it. Well, it's a TV sport now, too, for the same reason. Well,
it is a TV sport, and stay tuned. We've got some big news coming up about continuing to build this, not just Washington, but around the country. So stay tuned. You're going to see some big news. And I just want to say how much an honor it is for me to be here with you. You are an institution, and you guys both have built this town. And for me to have a chance to come, it is. And for me to have a chance to come sit and chat with you is a gigantic honor.
Mark, you're wonderful. I'll never be in an institution. I refuse that, too. When we were building a house, the builder wanted to put in an elevator. I said, I don't want an elevator. If I have to go up on my hands and knees, I'm not using an elevator. That's what I'm still saying. So, Mark, thank you for all you do. Thank you. And we're going to be back to you many times to talk about Don Bosco and talk to Fernandez.
Good. I love that.
Because we need that.
Good. I'd love to do that. Thanks.
This has been Our Town with Mark Ein, an entrepreneur unparalleled and a great dear friend. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, guys.
You've been listening to Our Town, Season 2, presented by Geico, our hometown favorite, with your host, Andy Ockershausen. New Our Town episodes are released each Tuesday and Thursday. Drop us a line with your comments or suggestions. See us on Facebook or visit our website at OurTownDC.com. Our special thanks to Ken Hunter, our technical director, and WMAL Radio in Washington, D.C. for hosting our podcast. And thanks to Geico. 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance.